Welcome back once again to the Professional Lovers channel. She's Patty.
And he's Al, and we are
the Professional Lovers.
Because we work at our marriage and have been doing that for 29 years.
And like to pass on what we know or what we encounter to you.
And so it's not professional in that we know it all, but it's professional in that we know enough and we keep working at it, because you got to keep working at it in order for it to last.
True.
You're always learning, and therefore we're always sharing. And we do that through the lens of Married at First Sight. If you are new to our channel, that's what we do, and we welcome you. For our subscribers, hey, glad we're back for another week to talk about episode 4, I think it is.
Yes.
Yes. So let's just dive right in. All the couples, everybody's married. The receptions are over, and they were going into the room for the night, for their first night together.
In Jamaica.
No, where they got married. They hadn't gone on their honeymoon yet. Their first night of their wedding was in the hotels.
Right.
Wherever their hotels, wherever they got married.
Okay.
And then
they found out they were going on their honeymoon
to Jamaica. But that was at the end. So in between the night and heading off to Jamaica was meeting with each other's parents and family and friends for brunch or lunch or whatever.
And spooning.
Yes. Trying to figure out how good the cuddle game is. So anyway, let's start with Kirsten and Shaq. They seem to have a lot of fun together.
Yeah.
And even Kirsten said that she had a lot of fun with him at the reception.
Yeah, she did.
That they danced well together. So she really appreciated that. And he was kind of feeling the vibe. So he decided to test the waters and ask for a kiss. And she just looked at him and smiled and kind of chuckled and was like, no. And he was like, okay. I mean, all the guy can do is ask and try. And maybe one day she'll give in, but it wasn't that night. Although the next morning she said she felt comfortable sleeping next to him. It wasn't awkward, she felt comfortable. So that's funny though. You feel comfortable with him, but you won't let him kiss you.
I mean,
because you still want to take it slow.
I mean, even a pet.
Yeah, we're not talking about a slob down or anything.
He might be talking about it, but we can start off with a pet.
So that was a little confusing for me. Why she could feel so comfortable with him and why she could, enjoy him and not let him kiss her. She said she needs to take it slow and make sure that they have an emotional friendship connection before he can kiss her on the lips.
Sidebar question. As a guy, I saw the activity of cleaning of the face. But ladies, did she actually take off all of her makeup?
Because I don't think she did.
That's what I'm saying. She didn't think she did. Because I thought she just kind of looked natural and then took off the sheer. And maybe that's what she did. She took off the...
I think she left her eye makeup on.
Okay.
She might have cleaned everything else so she wouldn't get stuff on the pillow. But I don't know. It just didn't look like she totally cleaned her face.
But to me, I take that as a sense of, not letting your guard down, so to speak.
True, if that's the case.
So that's just my thought.
Right. And so she met with Shaq's friend and his uncle, but they didn't show a lot of their discussion.
Interaction,
Yeah, whereas he met with best friends and a cousin
of Kirsten's.
Kirsten's best friends and cousin. And they, of course, were drilling him again because they're not so sure. And one kept saying, I'm not convinced that, you are really intentional about what you're doing, why you did Married at First Sight. And they asked him, what would you do if she's very reserved and hesitant, which she's already been.
Really?
I mean, and what can you do other than just be patient? As he said, he would be patient.
Yeah. And I might just start calling her Kristen until she gives him a kiss.
And so when they got back together to compare notes, he was talking about how his family didn't really share with his family times when he was going through some hard times and any turmoil, and they always see him as all put together,
Yeah.
and they see him as, having a lot of strength or whatever, because he doesn't show that other side to them. And she said the same thing about herself.
Mhm. And that's often done when you happen to be the go-getter of the family, so to speak.
True.
Everybody thinks that you got all of your stuff in order, and there's certain things that you couldn't go through, second guessing yourself or whatever the case may be, or having simply a bad day, and it's inevitable. It happens to everybody.
Exactly. So she said, that seems like that's something they both will have to work on
together,
letting each other in.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and we were saying, how we had that issue as well. Not so much. Alton loves to help others, and he likes to be support for others. Mm-hmm. So it was very easy for him to be a support for me when I need that. But early in our marriage and through quite a bit of it, he had trouble allowing me to be a support for him.
To reciprocate.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something I was accustomed to. I mean, it's not that I didn't think I needed help, but I just felt a whole lot more comfortable being a supporter, especially, because again, and not that this makes it right, but she's an idea person. And not that I don't have ideas, but for someone who is creative, they come up with ideas and thoughts like this right here. I mean, I'm not a camera person. I'm not but I mean, I can adapt to just about anything. But when she came up with the idea, I was like, hey, yeah, let's do this. And here we are. So it's a thing where she had to kind of, and not intentionally, but she had to fight her way into being my support as well when I needed it.
Well, because reciprocation is important.
It is.
No matter what it is.
Very.
Nobody wants to feel like the other is doing more or, doing what you're not allowed to do for them. Whether it's, whatever it is, mm-hmm. Reciprocation in relationship is important.
Balance.
So, yeah,
Balance. It
does create a balance. All right. So, Dominique and McKinley. Mm-hmm. Right now, her vibes about him are all positive. Mm-hmm. She thinks he's sweet and thoughtful, and they were talking about, different kinds of foods, and he mentioned fish, and she was like, oh, I got me a whole freezer full that I caught.
Yeah.
And I cleaned it. He was like, you cleaned it?
Catfish, which he's never had.
And his face just kind of went, catfish. Never had that, which is really hard to believe. I thought everybody eats catfish.
No, everybody doesn't. I ain't mad at him.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyway. And she brought her body pillow that he was wondering if that was going to be kind of a barrier between the two of them. But, he was pleasantly surprised that it did not serve as a barrier. And they also felt comfortable sleeping together. So she met his mom, his sister, and best friend. And his mom is not shy about letting her know that this married at first sight process, as she put it, is nuts. The disdain that she feels for this process.
They can take it off the air.
She cannot hide that at all. And, they asked her, what would you do if he wants to move back to Michigan? And she was like,
that would be difficult.
That would definitely be a discussion.
And I mean, if he wanted to move back to Michigan, that would be one thing. But for them to even ask the question, would they be integral in having him pose that question in moving back to Michigan? Because in most cases, a man will settle wherever a woman wants to be, wherever she wants to make her home and be comfortable at it. I think in most cases, I'm not saying all, but in most cases, a man will settle where a woman feels comfortable being.
Right. Or they will settle where they mutually agree to settle.
Yeah.
But for a woman to just to go to where a man is interested in, go back home.
Exactly.
I don't know. So anyway.
I don't see that happening.
So McKinley talked to her mom, her grandmom, and her auntie.
Yeah.
And their whole discussion centered around
They're concerned
about race. You know, they asked him, had he ever dated black women before? And he said what he had said before, which was he dated mostly white and Latino. But then when he said he had
dated
a couple of dates with black women,
that he didn't get,
he wasn't successful.
Right, he wasn't successful with that dating.
And situation. He didn't say that before.
He didn't say that the first time around.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, and again, you read in the commercials and so on and trailers, and I'm wondering if whether he has a reservation or not. If they keep harping on it,
yeah,
he will have reservations.
It will create a reservation.
And I'm thinking because it's already come up
more
each
than
and every
once.
time that they've encountered each other, that's their question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, how do you feel about dating a black woman? And you know, he seems to be okay.
He keeps handling the question pretty well. But like you said, if they keep harping on it, then he may begin to have doubts unless she dispels that for him.
True.
Jasmine and Eris. Jasmine feels a chemistry between them. Eris was all tired when he got to the honeymoon.
He was just drained.
And he got in bed and was like, I hope she's tired because I just want to go to sleep.
That was his words.
And
laid in the bed and was like
getting
comfortable with his pillow
to sleep. And she came out in her little two-piece nightie, and
my man said, "Wow."
He looked like he had a shot in the arm of some caffeine.
My boy changed his whole countenance. He was like, "Oh, okay. Hey."
Because between her and Kirsten, who had her little silk, feathery thing on, they're the ones that had the nice nighties,
But Kirsten's was top to bottom. She closed hers even to the point where she almost like had a V-neck on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So Eris, I don't know. He lost that tired feeling. Real quick. Jasmine went with his mom and cousin and friend, and Eris's cousin is like McKinley's mom. Complete disdain for this whole process. Yeah, no. And what began to bother me is in her questioning, the different questions that they asked Jasmine. Because Jasmine sounds intelligent and could answer the question right away with intelligent answers, the cousin is acting like it's all put on. You're just such a professional pageant queen that you've practiced how to answer questions right away and give the right answer. And it totally discounts her intelligence. Yeah. And it totally discounts
her comfortability within herself.
Yeah.
Her confidence within herself. Plain and simple. You ask a question, I give you an answer. Now, if you choose not to believe me, that ain't on me.
But basically telling you, I don't believe you.
Hey. And
what can you do with that?
And she alluded to that. She didn't say that she didn't like her cousin's questions or anything, but she alluded to the fact that she knew that they were protecting their family. Yeah, and they were protecting Eris.
And to me, that's a mature way of looking at it, because you went through that as well. Yeah,
with all four of her fathers.
Yeah, so, but the realization that they're protecting him, but still made her feel, it made her feel some kind of way to not be believed.
But, yeah, but again, her intellect in that case took over, as opposed to her feelings being hurt.
Right.
That was their intention, or she chooses to believe that was their intention in protecting him.
Yeah. Although it did come out that it took that she was only 7 months out of her last relationship with the guy that she was living with. And so that seems kind of short to jump right into a marriage. And so thankfully she understood their concern, but the cousin, again, has no problem displaying her disdain for the whole process. Whereas Eris met with her mom, dad, and brother, and asked if, Jasmine is organized. And they said depends.
Yes.
When it comes to her
Coaching.
job, her coaching, her cheer team,
coaching, yeah.
Extremely, like a sergeant. When
Other
it comes
things,
to, right, they were
not
like,
so much.
not so much. But the dad did say that the key to a good marriage is that you allow each other to be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's important because that's part of what we've seen unravel other married at first sight marriages, where the other person's expectation was such that when the spouse didn't measure up being themselves, they couldn't handle it. Because being themselves wasn't what the other person wanted.
What the other person wanted.
That's what I'm saying.
Basically,
it didn't match the other person's expectation of what they wanted.
Yeah.
And so then they couldn't get over that.
Yeah.
All right, so who's our next couple? Gina and Clint. Again, the vibe there is, positive right now. Now, she met with his friend and his dad, it seems like, but they didn't show anything.
Yeah.
They didn't really show any of the discussion.
And straight to commercial.
Yeah, whereas he met with her brother and sister-in-law. And the main issue or red flag, as the sister-in-law said, was the fact that they're so much alike, and time is an issue because they have filled in their lives with so much travel, him sailing, his entrepreneur business, her entrepreneur business, her traveling. And it's like, are you going to have time for each other? And they kind of talked about it because at the honeymoon night before they, got in bed, and she was explaining how she's getting this new building and that she has to make herself make time.
Yeah, which is why she left her phone.
She left all her work at home so that they could honeymoon without any of that interfering. But they're both that way, and so the sister-in-law expressed some concern that might be an issue between the two of them. And then Nicole and Chris, they're the kissy face of all of the couples. And she met with his mom and dad and brother, and they let her know that in his past relationships, he has been consumed with the relationships.
And then another way of saying the exact same thing is that he's poured himself entirely into the other person as his commitment to the relationship.
Yeah, which also goes along with his really, really nice guy persona.
Yeah.
And so the more that they talked about that, the more she realized that, she really has to protect his heart. And his dad said something very interesting. Yeah. When his dad was like, if you
see this going down the wrong road,
that it is not going to work, cut it. Don't drag it out.
Yeah.
Just rip the Band-Aid off and cut it. And so, she said that she knows that she has to protect his heart.
Protect his heart.
Yeah, and he met with her mom and stepdad and dad is like McKinley's mom and Eris's cousin. He has much disdain for this process.
Because he got a whole different line of questioning.
And likened him to a serial killer. Yeah, he's kind of nice, but a serial killer is kind of nice. So it's like, wow, you are putting him right there with a serial killer. So, he's asking questions about his commitment and whether or not he's ready to be a husband and whether they can merge their lives together. Is he in it for, the long haul? And I mean, I get it. I understand parents' concerns at the same time.
They are adults.
They are adults.
They made the decision
yes,
to do this.
Yes.
So, I mean, again,
and if you know what kind of adult you raised,
yeah,
as in, they're not crazy, that they're not, irrational and any of that, then while you have reservations, you can support.
Yeah. And you put them on this earth to live their lives.
But he's being a dad. And then the two of them, Nicole and Chris, kind of shared some real intimate, vulnerable moments that each has had.
Their past. Yeah.
Yes. Him talking about being on vacation with a woman who basically ignored him
the whole time.
And, even just Nicole holding his hand was more than what she did
on a whole vacation.
Right. And then she shared going on the fact that she has vacation anxiety because of past experiences with abusive.
Being abused by someone.
Yeah, abusive boyfriends who on vacation abused her.
What kind of mind do you have if you come up with a level of your love for me is tested by you allowing me to burn you? If you let me burn you, that'll show me that you love me.
What kind of mind do you have, though, when you say, oh, okay?
Well, that's searching. I mean, it's still abuse.
Yes, it is abuse.
I mean, she's
allowing
vulnerable. Yeah, true. She's vulnerable and she's looking for whatever she thinks relationship is supposed to be.
Well, she said she was young.
Yeah, and that's usually when it happens
but
in your first
never
encounters.
Been that.
You've never been that young.
No. Even when I was young, I was never that young. No, I'm not gonna let you physically abuse me. But being able to share those things with each other.
Yeah, I think that's critical. I mean, especially early on, because in a situation like this, under normal circumstances, it takes time for you to get to serious conversation and serious, elements of your past experiences that you're battling with or
embarrassed by. And that's what Chris said. That some of those types of stories, it's embarrassing to kind of share them.
And believe it or not, dude, I think one of the most intimate things that he could have done when she shared her story was that he kissed the wound, and I was like,
that was pretty.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was.
That was a display of,
empathy.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wherever you hurt, and again, that plays into his nice guy role, and she has to fight against being scared of whether or not it's genuine
and doubtful. Yes, because she's expressed that a couple times too.
Because she's been through other stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And
I can understand that too, because I had a couple of them questions when I met him, especially the age that we were, and the fact that can he really be that nice and not have any skeletons in his closet? Nothing.
I didn't have a closet.
Yeah, so
that's not true.
He's silly, but so I understand that. Not to the level that she is experiencing, but I get that.
But you heard it here. She's gonna break his back.
Yeah, she's ready.
The time comes.
Oh, Jamaica.
Ooh.
So Jamaica's coming. Everybody got their stuff packed and met down in the hallway, except for Kirsten and Shaq, because Shaq had to go to a research conference first.
Yeah.
And she was like, what?
I can't go on my honeymoon.
I'm all ready. I made all these sacrifices, and I'm going where? To Mississippi? Isn't that where they were going? Mississippi?
Yeah. But you're gaining the doctor.
Yeah. He had to, present research on his dissertation. So they will be a day late. But everybody else met together, and just the fact that they were going to Jamaica has already got Eris riled up. He's ready for some sex on the honeymoon.
Sex on the beach.
To where people are like, wow, he is frothing at the mouth.
I think I missed that part.
Yeah, because he is ready. He and Nicole. Now, I'm sure everybody else is, considering that too, but he and Nicole
are ready.
Are ready. So they have headed off to Jamaica. They've gotten to their rooms, and everybody's ready for a good time. And so we'll start seeing how that plays out in next week's episode.
Yes.
So leave your feedback, leave your comments. I know it's not, at this point, it's so kind of brand new with episodes. We're not really experiencing much drama yet. But we appreciate those of you, Venus, Tomlin, who leave feedback all the time. We enjoy, interacting with you. So do that. And if you have friends or other people who are Married at First Sight fans and don't know about us,
pop some popcorn, get some sparkling water, and
tell them to tune in.
Have some fun.
There you go. So until next week, you know what we're saying. We want you to love yourselves.
And each other.
Bye.
Peace.